Hi, welcome to my channel. If we haven't met before, I'm Kari Greger.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm so glad you're here. Today, I'm making a plant-based whipped cream, plus a vegan cream cheese whipped topping frosting or filling. Let's get into it. First thing I have to do is take the steel mixing bowl that I'm going to be blending the whipped cream in and put it in the freezer so it gets chilled. Take 3/4 of a cup of raw cashews, put them in a small pot, cover them with water, and boil them on the stove for 10 minutes. Drain and rinse them, then add them to your blender.
Is he nuts? He's no nuts. He's crazy.
I need 1/2 cup of water and 1/3 of a cup of water. That's why I've got the 2 containers. So 1/2 cup and 1/3 cup of water. Put the lid on, take it to the blender, and blend it for 3 to 6 minutes at least so that we get those cashews smashed. Take the other 1/2 cup of water and put it in a small saucepan. To this, you're going to add 1 teaspoon of agar powder and the sugar. 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm using 4 tablespoons of sugar because I'm going to be making the cream cheese whip with this mixture. Take it to the stove, stir it constantly on the stove, bring it to a boil, and you can see when it's done, when it starts, you can see a trace when you start moving your spatula through, and you can see that it's thickening a little bit. The viscosity and the gloss has gone up.
Are we getting hot?
Yes.
Now, I shut the camera off. I shouldn't have done that. I am trying the coconut oil this time. So I put 2 tablespoons of coconut oil in the mixture after I shut the burner off and let that melt. Stirred it in. So if you're not adding coconut, then don't worry about it. We're going to take our mixture that's still in the blender, put that back onto the blender, and add in the agar and sugar water. So I start the blender and I'm adding it in through the top to get that whipped in. Let it cool a little bit, but we don't want to let it cool entirely. Now I'm going to add in the flavoring. We have 1 teaspoon of almond extract and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Just pour that in the top and pulse it to combine. Coconut oil is optional. I've made this mixture plenty of times without the added oil, but I haven't always been happy with the thick set of the cream. So let's see if this makes a difference when I put the oil in, if it thickens the set of the cream up. It's a little experiment.
Is that all I was to her? Just an experiment?
And I have control over it, how much oil I put in, because when I make it myself, I have total control over the fat, salt, and sugar. Is that good information? Give me a thumbs up below, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when another recipe is posted. Let's see how this looks. Well, it's very smooth, and it's not very thick right now, which is expected. We've just stirred in our agar and everything, so let's take the bowl that you chilled out of the freezer and pour this into the chilled bowl. Look at how frosty that looks. Then I put a cover over it. I've got a lid that fits. You can use plastic wrap. Put it back in the freezer. You're going to keep it in the freezer for 30 minutes. Once you take it out of the freezer, it has chilled through, and it's almost rubbery. Can you see how that sort of jello rubbery look to it? That's the way it's supposed to look. Let's take the blender and whip it. We're going to whip it like crazy.
Now whip it into shape.
The more you whip, the more air you add in. We do have some soft peaks, as you can see. Scrape down the sides. Make sure you're incorporating all of it. as you go. We just keep whipping and whipping. When it gets to the point where we've got some soft peaks, but it's not getting any more volume to it, it's time to take a break. This is going to go into the refrigerator. Now you can see as I run the spatula through it, it does have some structure to it, but it is soft. It's folding back in on itself. I want to make it a little stiffer than that. I'm going to put it into the refrigerator, and I'm leaving it in the refrigerator for 4 hours. Even overnight is better.
Okay, chill.
I invented chill.
So next morning, now we're going to attack it again with the beaters. Whip it, whip it, whip it. As you can see, it's holding more structure right away. You can see it's building up. And we're getting some really nice looking whipped cream here. Just keep scraping the sides down and whip it until it's to the volume. Now look at that. See, I've got some peaks forming. I'm going to keep going at it. After several minutes of whipping, this is about as stiff as it's going to get. All right. I am taking some of this whip cashew cream out of the bowl to set it aside because I'm going to make the cream cheese filling. So I'm taking one of my cans of cream cheese. There's probably about 7 ounces in here. And I'm going to soften that up with the beaters before I mix it in with the rest of the whipped cream. I'm going to use 2 cans. The whipped cream is plenty sweet, so I know it's going to be able to handle this.
Is that cheese? Have you eaten cheese? How much cheese have you eaten today?
How much cheese is too much cheese?
Any amount of cheese.
And isn't that beautiful? I just love having cream cheese in the pantry. The recipe for that will be in the informational card above or in the description below. Beat up your cream cheese until it's nice and soft and you don't have any chunks. I just add a bit of the whipped cream at a time and then incorporate it in. Isn't it interesting to see the grayness of the cashew whipped cream next to the bright white of the cream cheese? I always find it interesting that the cashew, even cashew milk, it always has a little bit of a gray tinge to it. But I just continue to add more of the whipped cream to the cream cheese, and that way we're not going to have any lumps, and then I can take it and whip it as much as I want. I think I'm maybe even getting it a little stiffer by adding the cream cheese. That'd be nice.
It's not too late to whip it. Whip it good.
There we go. It's nice and stiff, holding it, and it tastes wonderful. Whipped cream made from cashews and our cream cheese whip topping or filling. Delicious. Let's take a look at our whipped cream. Well, this is the stuff that I saved out. It has pretty good structure. It's a little softer than, a whipped cream that's about to turn into a butter. But it holds up nicely. You would be able to top a pie or something very nicely with this. And dip your berries in or whatever. Oh, that's very good. That agar powder gives it a nice body to it so that you don't need as much fat. It's a little sweeter than I usually like, but that is because we had to put the sugar in because I knew I was going to be doing the cream cheese version. So, cream cheese version, actually, it's about the same for setup. So, I don't know whether I would really need to put that extra fat in there. I don't think it's too much different than what it was without it. So it's up to you. This is a good experiment. But this, look at this nice. And this is not going to be as sweet because we didn't put the sugar in it. Cheesecake, anyone? That is fantastic. And the thing is, I could use this as a topping on a pie or with the berries, right?
Bon appetit!
Well, if you got some good information from this video, give me a thumbs up below, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when the next recipe is posted. And the next recipe is spicy, crispy, oil-free, plant-based chicken burgers. So, while you're down there, ring the bell so you'll be notified when that recipe is posted. And leave me a comment. Let me know if you try the whipped cream or if you try the whipped cream cheese. They're both delicious. Thank you for watching.